Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Welcome to another episode of the Practice Podcast, where we explore business, law, and life. I am one of your guest hosts.
That's going to get cut.
I'm not a guest host. I'm just a host.
That's going to get cut.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Come on.
How you doing,
I
Jeff?
think we should start each episode that way.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good.
You know, I'm happy when it's a Friday. First of all, I love Fridays, but Friday, and we're recording the Practice Podcast.
Yeah.
Live and in person, in studio with an incredible guest.
Yeah, true.
So my question to you today,
ChatGPT said,
no,
yes.
These are not ChatGPTs.
Go ahead. That's all right.
I'm a legit person. What luxury could you not live without?
What luxury could I not live without? Well, I mean, define luxury because
I don't know. How about what's something you cannot live besides your incredible wife and family?
That's quite luxury.
Let's go with
What do you mean, like an actual, like a purchase or like?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't live without water.
Yeah. That's only a lawyer. Luxury. You ask a question. Only a lawyer wants 20 clarifying questions.
Oh man, a good, comfortable, well-fitted pair of running shoes.
Okay. That's nice. Most people don't think of fitness in their luxury, but that's
it's
a luxury. Yeah. How often do you replace your shoes, like as a runner? Because I'm a non-runner and I replace my shoes basically never.
Right. Probably every 2 to 3 months.
Wow, that is
so. It's probably a couple hundred miles, 200 to 300 miles. Yeah, 300 miles. Yeah, something like that.
Are we on 100 mile a month?
Oh, at least, yeah.
At least 100
more.
miles?
Yeah. My record was actually in July. I did one, I think it was just north of 160.
Wow.
But that's because I did the event out in Park City. Yeah. But normally about 100 to 120.
And is it the same now that you're at this point? Is it the same? Do you do the same shoe every time? Is it the same shoe every time, or you adjust?
So
go,
like not to give a plug to Brooks, but
let's get them to be a sponsor.
Yeah.
What is this?
I buy them anyway. I am on now Ghost. Is it? I don't know if it's 13s or 14s, and I started with like 5s.
I don't even know.
Ghost 5, like the model. Like it's a Ghost is the model of the shoe, but the version is the number. So I know I'm hitting the table because I'm Jewish and I use my hands a lot. So I'm on 14s.
Okay.
And I think they just came out with 15s, but I started on 5s. So it's that many 10 versions of the shoe. I've been wearing them. So I just go and I order 3 at a time and I usually rotate through the 3.
Nice.
Now that the listeners totally turn this thing.
I'm fascinated by this. I didn't know. I never dreamed that that's where we would go.
Well,
okay. I thought you were going to say air conditioning or something. That's a luxury you can't live without.
Well, I mean, you could, in theory. I could live without that. Not in August in Miami.
I feel like I could go with, if I had to.
Could you? All right, so what's your luxury that you could live without?
I would have said Spotify. Like I've become so accustomed to having every song at my fingertips and I'm always listening to music.
You can't sit in silence.
I can, but I just love music and I love to listen to music. So throughout my life, I accumulated records and then tapes and then CDs. And when we went to digital, I had 10,000 songs that I actually purchased, in my
That's why it's still working. That's why you're still working.
Until we went to a service. Let's shift gears because I see our guest sitting here and
yawning.
He wants to jump in.
He does. Look at him. He's ready.
He's like, Spotify and shoes. You guys are boring.
Like, what are you guys talking about?
So today we have the privilege of sitting down with someone who has long been a guiding figure in the South Florida legal community. His name is Scott Baena. Scott is not just a distinguished attorney with decades of experience in commercial bankruptcy and restructuring. He's also a thoughtful leader, a mentor to many, an entrepreneur who started one of the most successful firms in South Florida, maybe the country, and someone who's helped shape the culture of our profession through his work and service. And today we'll talk about his journey from being a young lawyer to a founding partner, how he's approached leadership and firm culture, and what he believes the next generation of lawyers should focus on, not just to succeed, but to thrive. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you. Do you want to answer the question?
That's really good.
You want to answer the question?
Gardener.
Do you have like a serious garden? Do you have a garden?
I don't have a serious garden, but it would be.
You're not gonna mow your lawn.
Nobody doing that.
The weeds,
That's
the overgrowth.
only job around the house I will not do.
Okay, that's fair.
I will not do it.
Yeah.
I find myself, my gardener doesn't like to cut I have these seeds on our palm trees.
Oh, I didn't see him.
And I
didn't say
reach
he was
up.
good. I didn't say it's just better than what I would do.
Yeah. All right. Good point.
Yeah, I have the seeds too.
Yeah. So I have one of those long blades that I work on. It's
yeah.
like,
You need a tree trimmer.
I
to
hate
do
that
those.
job.
I know, it's annoying.
Yeah, I do it myself, unless I can find, someone to do it. Anyway.
Stay away from the power lines.
Yeah. And I try to stay off ladders.
All right.
So
Welcome, Scott.
your gardener.
Thank you.
That's funny.
My
All
gardener.
right. So tell us, Scott, first, obviously, you're known as a lawyer, an excellent lawyer. How did you become a lawyer? Obviously, you went to law school, but did you always know you wanted to be a lawyer? Tell us your origin story.
Very simple. 2 movies.
2 movies.
2 movies.
Okay.
Kill a Mockingbird, and then the FBI story.
The FBI story?
FBI story, I think, shaped my whole life.
I don't even know. I'm not familiar with that one. Obviously,
it was 100 years ago.
The FBI story.
Was it based on a
James
book?
Stewart.
Okay, of
It
course.
was about the beginning of the FBI. And all I left that movie, I was very young at the time.
You grew
but I
up-
left that movie with the notion that you had to be an accountant or a lawyer to be an FBI agent. And that's what I was going to be. So I went and became accountant and then a lawyer and had no interest in joining the FBI.
Really? Did you have lawyers or accountants in your family or FBI agents?
I came from a,
Where'd you grow up? Tell
a
us.
lower middle class family. My father was an upholsterer. I was born in the Bronx in New York.
Really? I can't hear the New York.
Couldn't tell you. I
Never-
said the listener has no idea where it came from. Yeah.
We eventually moved to Queens when my father took advantage of a GI Bill loan to buy a house that we couldn't afford to live in. It was, I had a secular Jewish background, very prototypical, a hovering mother, the helicopter mother of the day, and a father that worked 7 days a week, literally. Had 4 siblings. And
What number are you?
I was the youngest.
You're number 5. Okay. I'm the 4th of 5, so.
I was the mistake, they'll tell you.
Really?
My mother used to say he was the mistake.
Is there a big gap between you and number 4?
Yes.
What's
6 years or something like that, 7 years. Went to public school in New York. It was a mixed experience for me. I spent more time in jail than I did in class. It was one
Really?
of those
Is this-
experiences. Yes.
And you said jail, not detention. Jail. I mean, that's
I sat on and I continued to provide service to the Florida Board of Bar Examiners.
right.
And every time we give a bar exam and do the character and fitness investigation about a candidate, I say, boy, am I glad they didn't have these conveniences then.
Well, you were a young kid. You were a young kid.
I was
right.
young.
Right.
We didn't have very much, and so, you wanted stuff. And you got in trouble. But I graduated public school at 16, went off to college.
Did you go away to school?
I went to George Washington University. It was a big mistake, frankly.
Really?
Never let my kid do that.
Really?
16
Why?
years old.
Oh, at 16.
But
Dropped
the mistake
all-
meaning that
My parents dropped me off with a pillow, a blanket, and my bag. They didn't even come inside.
By the way, another luxury pillow.
Oh,
Yeah.
A good pillow. That's another one we overlooked.
Parts really sit
Almost
a good
controversial
mattress.
now,
Actually,
it depends on who
I would
makes them.
take that away. Good match, like a good mattress.
Okay.
Like, or a good sofa. Anyway, how did you end up at college at 16? Like, how did that happen?
skipped
Given
a grade.
what you? Oh, okay.
What grade?
My theory is the entire class that I was in skipped a grade, and the teacher just felt bad for me. Didn't want to leave me behind. So I skipped too. And I begged my parents, no, I don't want to do this.
What grade was it?
8th.
8th grade? That's
Eighth
kind
grade.
of
Wow.
That's strange. Is it really? Do you mean that your entire class skipped a grade, or what do you mean?
The class I was in, actually everybody got
You went
picked for this special progress or whatever they called it.
From 7th to 9th. You
7th
just went
to
from
9th.
7th to 9th. And did you
wonder
ever
if they- I
find
wonder
out
if
if
they
there
were-
was some?
Like they had a shortage of teachers.
Right.
And they
Yes.
just move everybody
It
up.
was something
That's
New York
incredible.
had.
Right.
I suspect other places have it too. But,
Okay.
But, there's a social component to skipping a grade.
Sure.
That really impacted me. I was 16 years old. Went to college, couldn't drink, couldn't drive.
Right, and everyone else is-
And I'm in college with
Adults.
older people.
Right. Basically.
So you think you would have preferred perhaps if you waited till you were 18?
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
okay. And what do you
And-
think you
and-
would have done in those 2 years?
I think I would have been toured.
No, but like, what would
mean,
you
we're
have spent the
still-
2 years doing? Working or
Doing what everybody else does, having a normal
not going back
childhood.
to jail though. No,
I was
trying
pretty
to.
good by then.
By then, okay.
I had spent so much time in detention
Yeah.
that I just wanted to be liberated.
Okay.
Right.
But I do think that was something that forced me to do more than I thought I was capable of. And I think it was like that for me thereafter as well.
I mean, in a way, it was a positive
great.
because you forced you to rise, to mature faster, and
you
then
broke through the challenge.
Yeah, I miss something in my childhood.
Right.
You
feel like you got
that
chipped.
would have nurtured me a little bit further along.
That's fair.
But it gave me a sense of drive, the need to actually show up and perform. When I graduated college, it was the same sort of sensation. I'm a little bit younger than everybody, was facing the Vietnam War and draft. And I just was, a little bit out of sync with everybody in terms of my age. After college, I went into the Army. I didn't serve in Vietnam. I was the lucky guy.
You were in the Army at the time, but you didn't.
I didn't get to go to war.
Wow.
I was a crew chief on a helicopter. I was in a helicopter attack group, and I thought for sure I was going.
Sure.
It didn't happen. And I joined the Army because it was actually kind of funny. I actually started to practice accounting. I went into an accounting firm. And I immediately felt out of place. But accountants back then didn't have computers. I mean, they had adding machines and pencils and spreadsheets that they actually built with pencils.
Right. Yeah.
Oh
Paper versions
not
of
Excel
spreadsheets.
and all this other stuff.
Right.
Like graph paper, whatever that little. Right.
I went to a regional accounting firm, my first job. And, they put a lot of time into training you and what have you. And my first audit, they took me to, and I remember the name of the accountant. The account was the Harrington Company, and it was a stock brokerage company. And they dropped me in a room that was full of file cabinets. And the fellow was telling me, now, these are our DKs. And what does that mean? That's don't knows. He said, they're trades, buys and sells, but the tickets were never matched. He said, so you need to match the tickets. And I'm looking around the room. That night I called my father and I said, Dad, I'm not going to be an accountant. I'm going into the Army.
That would be better. Right? That was more desirable.
Right.
During a time of war.
I would rather be in the Army than do this.
Right. And we're at war too.
And I signed up and I laughed.
Oh, no kidding. Oh my gosh.
When I got out of the Army, I applied to law school and I got into GW again. I loved Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Back then was nothing like it is now.
It's so great.
More cosmopolitan today.
Yeah.
But it was just a wonderful place to be. And when I went to law school, it was during Watergate. And my professor, my constitutional law professor, was the minority counsel to the Watergate Commission. It was just like being in the midst of it.
So why, after the Army, you decided I'm going to go in?
Just something I always wanted to do. I
based
really,
on
as
those
a child,
movies?
wanted to do it. It was part of the master plan at some point. We didn't have a lot of money, so I had to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
And it proved to be a wonderful experience.
When you came out of the Army, I mean, I assume maybe there are peers of yours that were in your platoon or whatever it is. I don't know. That's the terminology. I mean, you went to law school. How many guys were going to law school from that? It doesn't seem like a natural stepping stone.
Actually, back then,
was it?
The Army was, we were subject to a draft.
Right. So everyone was kind of.
So everybody was facing the same possibilities. And it was very difficult, in fact, for the Army as an institution to deal with my generation.
Right, because you don't want to be there.
Everybody was asking why. Every time they told you to do something, why? And it was pretty unsettling for the command.
Right.
But it was an interesting experience, particularly during war. Frankly, I often look back and say, I would have stayed in the Army if I knew there was going to be this many wars. Being in the Army and not having a war, what's the point?
Right.
But when I flew for the War College. You saw how these people lived. It was quite a nice living.
Yeah.
Might have made a lot of money, but they had many luxuries.
Right.
So you went to law school back in D.C. during, Watergate,
it was
the historical implications, amazing time, right?
My college was also an amazing period of time. It's when all the protests were going on, and I was in the business school.
Right.
And so we were getting the brunt of all these anti-war protests. We were part of the establishment, the military-industrial complex. And that's where I actually first got opportunities to learn how to speak publicly. I became the student assembly rep. I was, because of the anti-war activity, I was able to convince them to allow me to attend faculty meetings. And then I was able to get them to give me 15 minutes to speak at every faculty meeting.
Wow. That's pretty
cool. So it became a real forum, and I was really enjoying it. And I think that's when I realized, maybe I can be persuasive someday.
Nice. That's cool.
Law school was, I guess I went through law school thinking I was never leaving Washington. I clerked in Washington for a law firm. I clerked at the NASD, and I loved the city. But when it came time to find a job, I realized that there were no practice areas that were available in Washington that suited me. I didn't want to do government law. Back then, it was all administrative law. They didn't have these monolithic law firms that were doing, full service.
Right.
And I wanted to be on the corporate side. I had the accounting background, and I wanted to employ that. So that was a disappointment because I thought that's where I was going to end up. I only went to GW Law School because I thought that I was going to stay in Washington.
Yeah, sure.
But that proved not to be the case. I got a job offer from a major law firm that still exists in New York, and the plan was to go back to New York. I wasn't wildly excited about going back to New York, but that was the plan. And in my last year of law school, a bunch of us came down to Florida for our last hurrah. I think it must have been spring break. And my brother, who was an accountant, but started a leasing company, a very large leasing company, ultimately sold to a bank pre-FedEx days.
Right, yeah.
He had a subsidiary here in Miami and a lawyer here in Miami. He asked if I would drop a package with his lawyer.
On your way to spring break.
During my spring break,
right? Okay.
And I said, sure.
Okay.
And I dutifully showed up in my shorts at this law firm, which happened to be one of the larger firms in town. And I brought the package. And his lawyer was a fellow by the name of Bill Sadowski. There are parks named after him now. Bill was an amazing lawyer. He was in that rat pack of Sandy Dallenberg, Bob Parks, him, Janet Reno,
Chesterfield
Smith. Chesterfield was like the grandfather to everybody. He was the mentor. Yeah. But this was the kitchen cabinet.
Right.
And he was ultimately a member of the House of Representatives here. And then he became the chair of the forgot what commission it was, and he got killed in a aircraft accident on a state plane where the pilot had a heart attack.
Oh, jeez, horrible.
And as a result of that, now there always has to be somebody in the second seat for a state airplane. But Bill was a terrific lawyer and a wonderful mentor. He met with me.
The package to him.
I delivered the package to him. He said, come on into my office. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. We sat there. We chatted. Within an hour, he had everybody from the office in his office, and we're all chatting. And then we went to lunch. I spent 8 hours there, and it was 1401 Brickell. Right. And it was like
back in the end, right?
It was
probably the only building there, right?
The newest building in Brickell. It was the old Forte Plaza, and I'm sitting there in his office looking out at the ocean, and it was like,
not bad. This isn't bad. Yeah.
And I had been to the orientation for the firm I was going to, and they showed us where we were going to be housed. They didn't even have windows in their offices, and all the people were I clearly felt like I was the dumbest guy in the room. These people were really bright, very serious, and I was a little uncomfortable, and it was sort of like graduating at 16.
Right.
I had to suck it up and figure it out. Anyway, I left that meeting in Miami, and I got back to Washington, and I got a call from Bill Sadowski saying, we're looking to fill a spot. Do you have any interest? I said, yeah. And he said, great. He said, I'll send you a letter. And he sent me a letter. The law firm I was going to, again, it was a white shoe firm. They were paying $22,000 a year to starting lawyers, which is a lot of money back then.
Back then, yeah.
And Sadowski sends me this letter, and it offers me a job. It doesn't tell me how much I'm going to make. And I was too embarrassed to ask. And I accept it. And we
just
changed
accept
our plans.
The ocean view in his head
I
just signs the letter.
These people, they were
they interviewed you in
counsel
shorts.
to Walt Disney World.
Right.
You know, this was like perfect. And he was a trial lawyer, and I wanted to do trial law.
So you called this New York firm and or did you just not
and
show
they
up?
could care less. By the way, I was so
slot
nervous
somebody else.
about that
Slot
whole
somebody
thing.
else, right.
I did not call them. I was so nervous. I wrote them.
You said
I
send a
sent
letter.
them a letter, and I got a response. Thank you for your interest in the firm, or something
Good
like
luck.
that.
Good
And
luck.
that was it.
Good
they
luck to
didn't
you.
wish me good luck or anything.
That's funny.
They could care less.
Is that firm still around?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Okay.
And they're here now too.
Oh, yeah, of course they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to work for Sadowski.
Went to work with Sadowski. I was he was priming me to be a trial lawyer when I was visited by the patriarch of the law firm. He came into my office and he said, "You know, we've been talking. You're the first person that we've hired since the enactment of the Uniform Commercial Code in Florida." He said, "None of us studied it." And I had gotten the book award in this thing, but I had never thought about ever being involved with it. And he said, "We'd like you to be our guy." And they had a lot of bank clients. They represented Citibank. And so I said, okay. I mean, I figured if they thought I was capable of it, I was open to the possibilities. And so I started to do lending work. It wasn't quite what I was hoping for. I did like going with them to courtrooms. And Sadowski, when I first started, said, "Look, you got to watch it to know it." And he said, "Take some time every week and go watch a trial." And I used to go to the criminal courthouse because those guys showed up unprepared and tried cases, and they were amazing. And I would go once a week and I'd watch trials all day long. And I learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that. But I was doing the other stuff, the transactional stuff. One day, Sadowski gets a call from Citibank that they had been enjoined from honoring a letter of credit that they had issued to the president of India by some bankruptcy judge. Actually, it was back then referees in Miami. And they needed somebody to go and quash that injunction. And Sadowski said to me, "Do you know where the bankruptcy court is?" And I said, "I do." It was in the old Ainsley building. It was like where all the jewelry stores were, and I had been there. So I said, "I do." He said, "Your file."
That's because you knew.
You knew where it was. You knew where the courthouse was. Right?
I knew where it was. And I remember I went to
That's great.
the first day hearing, and I walked into this room, and it was unlike anything I had ever seen.
Yeah.
There were 5 lawyers in that room, and somebody said to me, "You see those 5 guys? You just got to knock them off, and this is all yours." That's what he said. And it was Peter Buell that said that to me.
Wow.
He said, "Just knock them off, and it's all yours." He said, "I've been trying for 20 years. So one of them was Irving Wolf. And Irving is a legend in the bankruptcy community, still is. And he had his own desk in the courtroom. I mean, it was amazing to me.
What a
For the
time.
corner, he had his own desk.
Like, what a different time. Like, what a time. Like,
It
it's
was
like
unbelievable.
the nascent
they would
days,
all
right?
show up in the judge's chambers when a case was filed, and they would decide who's going to represent
Divvy it up.
everybody.
Yeah.
It was just a whole different thing. So I'm looking at this. This is a make-believe judge.
Yeah.
This is a make-believe law. I mean, the Bankruptcy Act was like nothing.
Back right before
And I
the
said,
code.
and these lawyers think that they're trial lawyers, but I know they're not. I said, "This is for me."
Yeah.
And that's where I started.
Nice. Wow.
That
That's
was
amazing.
the beginning of it.
My first sort of experience in bankruptcy court, different, but I was a prosecutor. And so I went to court to observe a hearing. I didn't make an appearance. I was observing, and it was an evidentiary hearing to speaking of bankruptcy lawyers as trial lawyers. Right. And who the lawyers were shall remain nameless because we know them. But one lawyer stands up, has a witness on the stand and holds up a piece of paper and says, "Do you know what this is?" "Yeah, Judge, I'd like to move that into evidence." And the judge said, "Any objection?" "No objection." And I was like, wait, no. Yeah, like that's bankruptcy lawyers and trial. I was
to the
like,
chase.
Well,
it's like,
look, you're still very active in the bankruptcy world.
What just happened?
I'm not.
Right.
I could tell you that a big case back then was where we were contesting whether or not they perfected their security interest. I mean, that's what we did most of the time.
A lot of time.
I got my biggest recurring client just that way. It was Southeast Bank.
Yeah.
I was representing a committee. And back then, committees were like
Rare.
Yeah, pick up a phone. Would you like to be on a committee? Yeah, sure. You don't have to do anything. I just need you to be on the committee. Okay, fine. And we used to build committees like that. And it was
it's changed.
just totally.
It's changed. But it's amazing that it's not that long.
But
it's not that many years from what the stories you're talking about to today.
50 years.
50 years.
No, but okay, but in the history,
It's a long time.
50 years is a long time, but in history, it's not that long.
Yeah.
You know?
It certainly has evolved, but
Tremendously.
It'd be nice to all of us to take credit for that evolution. But in fact, it's the capital markets that have changed. What bankruptcy lawyers do.
So tell us. So you practice at this firm for how many years? Like, what's the trajectory to you ultimately starting?
That first firm was Helliwell, Melrose, and DeWolf. Helliwell was a larger-than-life guy. He was the number 2 guy in the OSS.
What's the OSS?
It was the predecessor to the CIA.
Okay. All right. Nelson
shaking his head like he knew what that was. That's bananas.
You said that, he looked up.
In fact,
bananas.
The reason that firm represented Disney was because the head of the OSS was this fellow, Wild Bill Donovan, who started Donovan and Leisure, which was general counsel to Disney. And when Disney decided they wanted to start down in Florida, Donovan called Helliwell.
Nice.
And gave him that representation.
So the head of a spy agency's name was Wild Bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound. That's
Oh, these guys were incredible. Helliwell used to have a flag, an American flag that he sewed in prison when he and Donovan were in a Chinese prison from the ticking of the mattress. I mean, these were real Americans. These guys
you saw a flag in a prison, I think.
In a Chinese prison,
fast forward, I ran into Helliwell's daughter several years ago, and she shared with me his diary from when he was involved with the OSS, and he was.
That must have been so interesting.
Some really black ops stuff, and this
turn that into a book.
Fascinating.
It's got to be so interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. She should turn that into a book.
Actually, we tried to interest somebody in Hollywood, but
nothing.
Wow.
It's an expensive movie to make, apparently.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but it was kind of interesting. So
how'd you end up
passed away.
How'd you end up? Okay. And that's when you...
that sort of, tugged at the fabric of the firm, and there was politics and what have you, and it just didn't look good for us. And one of the attorneys, a senior lawyer, got in trouble with an opinion he had provided in a representation. And I just saw that the firm was going to be defending the firm for the next 10 years, and I didn't think it was a real good opportunity for me. And it just coincidentally, I was giving a CLE speech, and the then managing partner of Struck, which had just come down to Florida, was in attendance and came up to me afterwards, and we sort of developed a relationship, and then they invited me to join them.
Is that when you started didn't you start the Miami office for Struck, or did they already have a Miami presence?
No, the office was there.
They already had a presence.
Struck was the first interstate law firm to come to Florida, or among the first.
Right.
And it was the one that the bar tagged for the unlawful interstate practice of law.
Oh, yeah.
And so this fellow who was running it was not a Florida lawyer. He was sitting for the bar exam, but he was not. and he appeared in court second chair in a foreclosure case, and that's how they tagged him. And so they needed to repopulate that office with Florida lawyers.
Yeah. Good plan.
Quickly.
There were some pretty high profile, powerful bankruptcy lawyers came out of that office.
There were a number.
Right.
A number. One thing I did well, I did well was pick successors. I was good at picking that next level of lawyer who was going to emerge. You know, Singerman, Paul Singerman, John Genovese, Mindy Mora. I was real good at that. But beyond that, I was very bad. The associates, I didn't do so well.
You're being humble, right?
And ultimately turned it over to those people to pick.
But think about that under one umbrella.
Right. That was a lot of them, right?
There was a lot of them.
But you started, were you one of the founders of Bilzin?
Yes.
Yeah. So when was that?
That was in 2000.
2000. Okay.
I was at a tipping point at Struck. Yeah. It was a real tipping point. We had to refresh our office, and I was about to spend a lot of money. And at the same time, the relationship of the Miami office of Struck to New York was in, you know, I don't want to overstate it, but some extremis. We were sending them more work than they were sending us. And we were having a lot of trouble filling seats with certain practice groups like corporate. People didn't want to be in an outpost. And, you know, and I was very leery about spending that kind of money if we couldn't fill the office. We had like 30 lawyers or 35 lawyers. And I sat down with Brian Bilzin to get a reality check. And by the end of the lunch, we decided we were going to create a law firm.
Was it really organic like that? Just
48 hours later, we announced a new law firm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was it was three of you. Sumberg?
Well, there was five of us.
Five of you.
There were five. Actually, six. Rick Dunn was there at that point, too. We had 47 lawyers, I think, that we brought together. We said, boy, this feels good. This feels great. Just the right size. Let's keep it like this. And, of course, within 5 years, we had over 100 lawyers.
Yeah. How did that happen?
One person at a time. One person at a time. Yeah, we were very, very cautious. I think we did a lot of things right. We had to find new housing. We had to equip it. We had to borrow money. And we made an agreement amongst ourselves that until we pay off our debt, we're not wasting any money. We're not giving money away. We're not going to pretend to be something we're not. We're working on somebody else's capital. We got to pay them back. And we did that. In 3 years, we paid that back. And then we became givers in the community. We got that part right. The second thing was we were leery of bringing more groups in. I brought 16 people or something like that with me, and it was quite a difficult process to amalgamate 40-something people. And it occurred to us, you know, groups are problematic culturally and economically.
Sure.
And so we said, you know, we'll stay away from that to the extent we can. And we did a pretty good job of that. It's changed since I've left. Yeah. They have hired groups. But that permitted us to really focus on culture and on professionalism. And we spent a lot of time and money on those things.
I was going to say, like, can you tell us some of the things that you did? Because I know as business owners, right, running a law firm, building a firm, those are the things as you bring people in. Culture is super important for us too, but maintaining the level, right, of the work and the professionalism. Right. And so what types of things did you do to help keep that?
The cultural part is tricky.
Yeah.
The hardest part of the evolution of culture is defining it. Everybody has one, but not everybody knows what it is. And we spent lots of time and got lots of help trying to figure out what it was that was our culture and why it distinguished us. And we ultimately concluded, and I think fairly, that ours was a culture of caring. And it was just that simple. It was a culture of caring. Our clients' issues became our problems. We always were trying to align our interests with our clients' interests, long before that became a catch line. We cared about our employees. They enjoyed coming to work there. We cared about each other. We cared about the community. And it was all about caring.
That's funny.
And so that's how we started to measure people that were interested in joining us. Do you care?
That's exactly something. This is something that we talk about all the time. Caring, and we call it the care factor. Right?
It's the care factor. Yeah. It's probably the glue that will really hold together a group of people.
And not only that, it will to us, right? And I'm sure you feel the same way. If you care, then you're going to put in the work ethic, the work that's necessary. Yeah. You're going to put in the work not just for the client, but for yourself and for the firm and for
partners.
And you're going to do whatever you need to do. And so if you care, and that just sort of drives the whole thing. And that's, I mean, I did not know that was, their sort of culture. So that's
and we proselytized it. I mean, we had firm meetings. I was the emissary at some point. I would meet with the secretaries. I would meet with the fellows in office services to tell them what our culture is and how they could be part of that culture. We really drilled it in. We then spent lots of time helping people develop relationship building skills. We had entire programming on relationship building, not just networking, but, we used to say how to dig your well deeper, how to create a real sense of alignment with a client. And on professionalism, we established what we called the academy. And before you could enter a time slip at our firm, you had to go through a 2-week boot camp. And it was extensive. And most of all, it was about the community. We put the community way up on the top of our list. And we would introduce our new attorneys to all the communities that we were serving and giving them an opportunity to meet with organizations within those communities and the leadership of those organizations. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we're asking them to pick one of those organizations as one that they would like to promote. And people invest themselves this way in that. And it was all very, very critical to a bunch of folks who just got together and announced they had a law firm. And we were consistently driving home the same message.
That's great. Yeah, you got to be intentional about it.
Well, consistent. I agree. Consistency is key.
It's got to be consistent, and it's got to be all the time. And everybody's got to be on the same page. You can't have one partner saying, that's ridiculous. That person's got to go. Or they've got to change their mind.
Yeah. And so how did you come to the next stage where you retired? Not that it's the next stage. I'm fast forwarding a bit here, but you retired recently.
I did.
I'm curious
because
a lot of lawyers don't do that. They don't retire.
Right.
And so I'm very interested in this.
Me too. This isn't heroics or anything. I started working when I was 12. I had phony work papers. You had to be 16 in New York to where I was working at 12. I worked at a gas station and used to go from the gas station to school. It was like crazy. So for me, work was like just part of the deal.
Just what you did.
I did it every day, all my life. And giving it up was a very difficult decision. We have a retirement program at the firm, so, I was going to continue to get a check. This is my last year of getting checks. And now I'm saying, wow, this will be the first time in my life I didn't bring home a check.
Wow.
But I was, as I said before, I was, brought up in this middle-class family. 65, you retire. That's what you do. My dad ultimately worked till he was 80, but he retired when he was 65, we had our successes and I had done it well enough and I wanted out. But there was always some reason it couldn't happen. We didn't have our succession plan. The academy needed this, so we needed that. I was the relationship officer at the firm. I would go around the country and meet with all of our clients who were stunned that we did that. Small little firm, we're flying around everywhere. I'm meeting with people I didn't know. My partners were dealing with it and asking them about, what keeps them up at night. what do you suspect you're going to need of us in the future? How can we align our interests with yours? And they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. But nobody else wanted to do that at the firm. It was taxing.
Sure.
And so I was stuck there until we could find somebody else to do it. But in 2019, I was saying, we have a recession coming. There's no question in my mind we're going to have a recession beginning of 2020. And I don't have the steam to handle it. The Great Recession.
Right.
I was billing 3,000 plus hours a year. I mean, that's a lot of time. And I was exhausted. We were trying cases all over the place. My wife, I went away for a 4-week trial. My wife would constantly be threatened. This is not going to be the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So I was out of steam, and I did not think I could do that again. While I had very capable partners in my group, I was the guy that was trying the cases, and I just didn't want to do it. So I was so sure that it was going to hit in January that I didn't want to get rope-a-doped back into the firm. And I said, I'm leaving in October. Nobody leaves in October. Everybody was saying, who leaves in October? I said, I am leaving in October. October 31st. I'm out of here. And that's what I did.
Wow.
And of course, there wasn't a recession. There was a pandemic.
Right.
Shows how
Close.
smart I am.
You knew something.
Well, you-
I am.
I mean-
I could have sat in the office or sat at home and collected pay.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But
You were prescient.
You knew something was coming.
Something was
right? You
coming.
knew something was coming.
Yeah.
anyway, I was. I don't look back and regret.
But you're not doing nothing now. Obviously, you're still very active.
I've been trying very hard to stay active. I continue to hear matters for the Board of Bar Examiners, which is quite time consuming and interesting, very interesting. I'm on Legal Services Board, and I try to be an active board member. So I'm on a number of their committees, executive committee meetings, arranging meetings for them with corporate community and stuff like that. I'm mentoring 2 young men, one of whom is a lawyer, one who is not. I'm coaching a businessman who's flirting with distress.
Yeah, you're staying busy. You're
I'm
doing what
staying
you've
busy.
always been doing, basically.
I still have my hobbies
amazing.
and stuff like that.
What are those?
Right now, I'm rebuilding a 57 T-Bird. I have a workshop, a wood shop, and I do that stuff. It's therapy. It's
Awesome. I love it. I love a story with a happy ending. Not that it's over. It's not. I'm just saying
not
for the
over.
podcast.
Not over.
Because,
Not
it's true. I mean, lawyers, I don't think lawyers are good at retiring. You hear of lawyers that just work and work and work and work until they,
Yeah. Well, and at some point, all you end up doing is writing letters to the editor, to the Herald. I love reading the letters to the Herald because they're all ex-lawyers who have
That's funny.
no other platform.
Yeah.
They just can't help themselves.
Wow. This is great. I've enjoyed this. Scott, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. For having us.
Thank you for coming in, Scott. This was awesome.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review if you're so inclined. And
How can you not leave us a 5-star?
after that, I don't know. I give it 5 stars. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Nelson, Brett.
Thanks, Nelson. Jeff, thank you.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @FastAmron.